Hey, what's going on, guys? This is the Short Sports Show. I'm your host, Daniel Short. Today is Monday, July 21st, 2014, and got a jam-packed show. Today we're going to be talking about another decision for LeBron James. Now, he made his main decision going to Cleveland, but now he's got another one that might not be that big of a decision, but it's certainly a decision. Also, is Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Alex Smith really a top quarterback in the NFL? We'll discuss that. And also, will the Buffalo Bills become the Toronto Bills? Yeah, doesn't really have a catchy name. But anyways, first we'll talk about college football. And SEC voters predicted on Thursday that Alabama and Auburn would finish number 1 and 2 in the conference, respectively. And I don't really know how you could be really respective about that, because we all know that Alabama, Auburn, huge rivalry. One of them being one to two together, it's probably not, Anyways, the Crimson Tide, which finished last season with back-to-back losses, was awarded more points with 154 than all other schools combined. Auburn had 75, South Carolina has 32, Georgia 19, LSU with 9, Ole Miss with 2, and Arkansas and Mississippi State both had 1. According to media predictions, Alabama would meet South Carolina in the conference championship game. The Gamecocks led the voting in the East with 1,800 votes, and then after that was Georgia with 1,700, and Florida with 1,300, and then Missouri with 1,200. So no Texas A&M in there, which, obviously with no Johnny Manziel, it's understandable. But wow, there you go. There you see with Crimson Tide, Auburn, South Carolina. So it's crazy to see how that works out with all this voting and stuff. But we all know predictions, especially when a game before even a single game has even been played, means absolutely nothing. But again, Alabama is predicted to win the SEC over South Carolina, and we will see how that plays out. Personally, it depends on Alabama's starting quarterback. I mean, this is going to be the first time in several years that they don't know, who's the starting quarterback. Right now, it's all eyes are on Jacob Coker. With the Sims quarterback, he's been struggling, and he did pretty bad in the spring game. And now eyes are on Coker and saying, hey, he's going to be the guy to step up. He's 6'5", he's that pro type quarterback that Alabama's had. I mean, we had Greg McCoy, something like that. He did really well. And then you had A.J. McCarron, obviously, who did fantastic. And now it's who's next? For Auburn, they have the guys. They have Nick Marshall at quarterback, and hopefully can stop smoking weed and, focus on football and try not to get suspended for any games. They did lose Trey Mason and a few other guys like Greg Robinson on the offensive line. But Alabama and Auburn both can recruit. They can both have guys step up really quickly. And, we'll probably see the same thing for Alabama at quarterback. But that is something that worries me a lot. I haven't seen too much on Jacob Coker to really know who he's about. But that could be where Alabama struggles and loses multiple games. And I'm not just talking about, obviously multiple being more than one. We could see that. We could see Auburn just take it again. And then we have an Auburn versus South Carolina, which also South Carolina has quarterback questions there as well. So we'll have to see. The SEC, I believe, is actually going to be wide open this year with, in my eyes, Auburn being the favorite just because of last season and who they have returning and things like that. But again, we'll have to see later in the season, which is getting closer. It's getting closer. A report came out that Texas was prepared to offer Alabama head coach Nick Saban a contract worth $100 million to coach the Longhorns. Paul Finebaum of the SEC Network writes in his new book, My Conference Can Beat Your Conference, saying, quote, that Texas was dead serious about trying to sign Money Whip Saban. Depending on who you talk to, Bama big hitters or Texas big hitters, the Longhorns were prepared to give Saban somewhere between $12 million and $15 million signing bonus, and a salary package worth $100 million plus performance bonuses. So that's huge. That is huge. You know, we had these reports whether they were serious about giving him a $100 million contract, and if not, but it looks like it was serious according to, you know, the Texas big guys up there. But in December, Saban received a new 7-year deal from Alabama through January 21st of 2022, worth $6.5 million in base salary per year, and a total of about $55 million, including performance bonuses. Nick Saban said, quote, "I never considered going to Texas. That wasn't even a conversation. I knew if Mac Brown stepped down, there would probably be an opportunity, but it wasn't something I was interested in doing, not at this stage in my career." And then during the SEC Media Days on Thursday, Saban also was asked again and talked about it, said, "I did not have any conversations with Texas, and nobody offered me anything. If I did have any conversations with them, there must have not been very much interest." So there you go. We talked about it before, and I'm glad that Nick Saban didn't do it, obviously, because that would have been really bad if he did, at least for TCU side. But also, you think about it, he wasn't going to leave Alabama. What he's got there and what he's doing, it's just to leave Texas, to leave to Texas, it wouldn't make any sense, because now you're having to rebuild with the team, or have a team that's, you know, has been dominating college football over the past 5-6 years. So why would you switch? And I believe to a lot of people it wasn't going to happen. Money was not something he needs or wants, because, I mean, he's got plenty of it. So yeah, I thought it was dumb. But hey, it's interesting to read about. And Paul Finnbaum's new book, it is called My Conference Can Beat Your Conference. You can go pick it up at Amazon or any of your book seller places. All right, moving on. LSU quarterback / wide receiver Rob Bolden. Now, I'm going to let that sit in your head for a little bit, if you can remember his name. Rob Bolden. Anyways, he will transfer to Eastern Michigan. And the reason this name might sound a little bit familiar in the back of your head is Rob Bolden played quarterback at Penn State, where he started 15 games in 2 seasons for them, and then transferred to LSU and never played a snap for the Tigers. And then earlier this spring, LSU made him switch to wide receiver. Now, Bolden, I'm sure bringing back up in your minds, he wore number 1. He was pretty solid for Penn State. And I think it was at the time, or maybe the year before, Penn State had all those sanctions happen. Actually, no, it was the year the sanctions hit Penn State. That's when he transferred to LSU. And LSU had just lost Jefferson, I can't remember his first name. They lost him, so it looked like Bolden could step in and be the starter for LSU. But then, you know, Zach Mettenberg won the job. Bolden sat the bench, never played down for the Tigers, and was going to be a wide receiver this spring. Bolden obviously didn't want that, and as a senior, he's a graduate transfer, so he's able to play for Eastern Michigan this season. I do believe they are actually an FBS school. Don't quote me on that, but they might be. But anyways, it doesn't matter. He's a graduate senior, so he can play anywhere he wanted to without having to sit out. So that's where he will play, and he does plan to play quarterback for Eastern Michigan. Moving on, the NCAA's Board of Directors will vote August 7th on a modified proposal to change how the governing body works. If approved, athletic administrators and the big schools would play a bigger role in rulemaking. Schools would have 60 days to override the decision. The proposal creates a 24-member board run primarily by presidents to ensure the principles of college sports are enforced. But rulemaking would be delegated to a new council composed primarily of athletic directors. Those from the 5 biggest conferences would have more voting power than the other 5 FBS football leagues. Some rules may apply only to the 5 major conferences. Also, athletes would be on both committees. So all in all, on those, what just happened there is Big 5 conferences are now starting to take power, which has been talked about for about a year or two now. And honestly, it just makes sense. I mean, you're in the big power conferences. You're gonna have more decision because you're doing more compared to the other smaller schools. But then again, there are some big schools in smaller conferences that are gonna be stuck. And with this passing, and I believe there's something. No, this is it. So if this passes, we could quickly see conference teams switching conferences very quickly. It's going to start off small, and then when they find out it does pass and it's certain, big schools that are in smaller conferences are going to quickly find out we have to get out of here, or we're going to get the bad end of the stick. So for anybody that's your team is in the smaller conference, like the AAC, the Mountain West Conference, Conference USA, obviously the Sun Belt, the MAC, those two conferences are screwed. They got to do whatever is told. Sadly, that applies to Texas State. But anyways, those other schools, Conference USA, AAC, and the Mountain West, the big schools that are in there need to find something quick to switch out, because the Big Five are about to take over. And honestly, it should be like that. I mean, these are Big Five power conferences that just have more control, and they should. I don't know. I think it's right. Another interesting thing, and last thing we'll talk about college football, which mixes in with the NFL, is that the NFL will limit the number of underclassmen who can receive evaluations for the draft to 5 from a single school, although special exceptions will be allowed. The NFL is concerned about the record of 107 underclassmen who applied for this year's draft, with 37 of them not selected. The league's college advisory committee developed new guidelines for players considering forfeiting their final years of eligibility. Troy Vincent, the league's head of football operations, said Friday the underclassmen will be advised on their potential to be picked in the first or second round. They also could be advised to stay in school, saying, quote, "When you look at our accuracy rate, we did a good job evaluating first and second round picks." This is Troy Vincent talking to Sirius XM NFL Radio. They're saying below the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds, a lot of these players were not getting drafted. It's getting better for these young men to remain a student athlete for another year. And then Alabama head coach Nick Saban at the SEC Media Days this week said that, quote, "It's getting overwhelming for the NFL committee's evaluation committee." The Crimson Tide had 11 players ask for evaluations last season. And then he said the best quote right here, Nick Saban right here, saying, quote, "A guy is going to get a first round grade, a second round grade, or stay in school grade. Look at all these players that went out in the draft, that went out for the draft late or didn't get drafted. There were potential draft picks next year. They're not in the draft next year. They're not playing college football either." So basically, you're the first, second rounder, and if you're third or all the way, to worst, obviously, you stay in school. So you can become the first and second round. I like this idea. I really do. Now, is it going to stop players from going? No. You're still going to have juniors that are going to be drafted in the 5th, 6th, and 7th round, and some that are not even drafted. They're just going to stay, they're going to see the money and not look everything clearly and still go, and then find out, okay, you're not drafted, you're a free agent, you can't play college football anymore, you're done. What are you going to do if you try out for teams and you're not getting anything happening? Do you go play CFL? Do you go play Arena Football League? And then you still got to look at your chances of even getting picked up, or should you just sit out? And it's all bad when you could have just stayed in college and became something special. So I really like what Nick Saban had to say. First round grade, second round grade, or stay in school grade. I love that idea. Because, and it's better for kids to stay in school, because obviously for your college team, that's awesome. If you have a guy that could be, an NFL talent, but is looking at a 3rd or 4th rounder, and hey, he should really stay, and he could become a 1st or 2nd round. For example, most people may not be able to see this, but Stanley Mapunga, he was a defensive end for TCU, and he was really dominant, really, really dominant. And he was a junior, and he should have stayed for his senior year. He could quickly become. He later was drafted by the Falcons in the 5th round, I believe, in last year's draft. And he quickly could have became a second or third, even possibly even a first rounder, like Jerry Hughes was. And he did have some family issues. I believe he was a father, and so he needed, needed the money and knew he was going to be drafted for sure. So that's why he left. But, it's like he could have had so much more money. If you don't look at that part and you just think of, valuation purposes, could easily become a first or second rounder, was picked in the 5th round for not sitting out a year. But it happens, but I love the idea of a first round grade, second round grade, and then a stay in school grade. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And moving on to the NFL, quarterback Alex Smith discussed his future with the Chiefs and his contract talks Thursday during an interview with the Kansas City Star, saying, quote, "Certainly when you're talking about comparables and what the marketplace is like for a quarterback, certainly you're looking at that. I feel like my body of the work of the last 3 to 4 years is right up there with a lot of those guys. No question, when you're trying to put a value on something like that, you look at a lot of that stuff." Alex Smith, who is 30 years old and is scheduled to make $7.5 million this season in his final year of his contract with the Kansas City Chiefs. Smith helped lead the Chiefs to the playoffs last season after passing for 3,300 yards and 23 touchdowns with just 7 interceptions. The former number 1 overall pick posted a 39-1 record in games he has started dating back to the 2011 season when he helped the San Francisco 49ers reach the NFC Championship game. And then when he was asked about when he would like to have the contract done, says, whether to have it done now or, later, blah, 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 says, quote, "I'd love to have it done. I love Kansas City. I love the coaching staff and the players. But when you're talking about this for many years and what type of deal, you want it done right. If you want both sides happy and you want it to be something that is going to last and you can play out. A lot of those things go into it. With that, there's still plenty of time. I still have a whole year left, and who knows what will happen. When I talk to management, we talk about stuff, and that's great. Then we flush it, and then we focus on football and doing what we have to do to help us win." Bam. Right there, what Alex Smith just said is what a lot of players do not do. Excuse me. He talks to management. You talk about your contract situation. You express what you want and having that deal done, and also listening, not just hearing what the team wants, listening what the team wants and what they want to get done, what they're trying to achieve, obviously saving money, but, giving you what you deserve, and say, okay, that's great, then forget about it for right now, let's focus on football, doing what we got to do to win. If that could be applied to what Jimmy Graham's hard-headed self could have done, it would have been great. And it's funny, when Jimmy Graham got his, that $40 million deal over 4 years, whatever, when he got that, he was like, "Oh, this is great. Now I've been excited. Can't wait to return to football. This is what I wanted." If you really wanted that, then why were you so pushy about how much money you wanted to get and holding out when he said you want to get back to the field as soon as possible? Look what Alex Smith just did. Just exactly what he just said. Talk to management, talk about what both sides want. That's great. Flush it. Then let's focus on football. Still going out there and playing. But Jimmy Graham wants his money, and then he'll go play. I wish most of these players would just take the mentality that Alex Smith has about this right now and move forward. That's what a real player that you want on your team. You know what I mean? Because he knows that he's playing under his last year. He knows if he gets hurt, that's it. He loses, the rest of the money, and he won't get anything, especially at his age. But he's still willing to go out there and play. That is someone that you want on your team. That is someone that can lead a team to something special. Not a player that's all about his money. So I'm just saying, not saying the Kansas City Chiefs are going to make the Super Bowl or do anything like that, though. They have the players to do it. That is the attitude and the mentality you want your player to have on your team. And I applaud Alex Smith. I really do. That is awesome that he went out and said that. New England Patriots tight end Rob Gronkowski, who underwent surgery for a torn right ACL on January 9th, says, quote, I'm planning on playing this whole season this year. He said Friday night during a Football 101 women's clinic at a local high school. The Patriots opened the season September 7th at the Miami Dolphins, and Gronkowski went on to say, I'm always antsy about getting back on the field no matter what it is. I just want to play football. I love playing the game. Gronkowski's played, I believe, 11 games last season, and then also missed a good amount of time the season before that. After his first 2 years, he took the league by storm, and he's been hit with injuries back to back, which really, really sucks. But I think it's a stretch to say, you're going to play the entire season, because you're looking at his past right now. And to say you're going to play week 1 against the Dolphins, that could be something. I think we'll see him be limited the first 3 games. And then after that, at least that's what I would do. I limit him the first 3 games, and then slowly ease him back into the starting role completely, and then go from there. But I hope he plays the entire season. I mean, he'd be a fantasy dominator if he can play the entire season, back to form like he used to. New York Giants guard Chris Snee, who won 2 Super Bowls as a member of the team's offensive line, will announce his retirement today. Chris Snee is having a hard time with his recovery from off-season elbow surgery, and hasn't been able to, obviously recover. The team signed veteran John Jerry, who gained some negative fame last year for his role in the Dolphins' bullying scandal, whatever. But Jerry himself missed OTAs and minicamp due to a knee injury that required surgery. And while the Giants believe he'll be ready for training camp, he's behind on the offense of learning it. They do have 3-year guard Brandon Mosley, who took snaps in Snee's place during minicamp and impressed coaches apparently with the work that he did. So we could see Brandon Mosley stepping in, or John Jerry. Obviously they will compete for the starting right guard spot. But Chris Snee was the Giants' second-round draft pick in 2004 and started 152 out of the possible 158 games, including postseason, from 2004 to 2012. He missed the final 13 games of the 2013 season due to hip and elbow injuries, but he is one of the top offensive linemen in the past decade. And he's gone, just like that. Well, it was nice seeing you, but man, that's terrible news for Eli Manning, who just a bad quarterback. Anyways, St. Louis Rams linebacker John Dunbar, and NBA free agent Deontay Green were arrested early Sunday outside a Dream nightclub in South Beach after both fighting each other. Dunbar and Green are facing charges of battery and disorderly conduct. Also, bad news for Buffalo Bills as defensive tackle Marcel Darius failed a conditioning test after reporting to training camp last week. Head coach Doug Marrone said, quote, he's not the only one, but obviously you want your players to come in and be ready to go. We're here for a long period of time, and we'll have to make up for it. Marcel Darius remained on the active/non-football injury list as the Bills held their first training camp practice Sunday evening. Darius reported to camp on Monday, but won't retake the conditioning test until Thursday at the earliest. This isn't the first time this season, sadly, for Marcel Darius to be in trouble, as he's been arrested twice this offseason and could face NFL-imposed suspension. Which sucks, because Marcel Darius is a really, really good defensive lineman, and I saw that, welcome to the NFL rookie. It was some ESPN thing that they had, or NFL Network. And they had Marcel Darius in there when, leading up to his draft and training camp for his rookie season and whatnot. And he doesn't seem like a guy that would be arrested, at all, including multiple times. And to fail a conditioning test as an NFL athlete, God, that's like being freaking, what's his name? Jamarcus Russell. There we go. You don't fail a conditioning test. I don't care if you're offensive lineman, defensive lineman. If you're in the NFL, there's no way you fail a conditioning test. That's ridiculous. So hopefully Marcel Darius picks it up and just is some little phase that he went through and he's getting over it. But there is good news for the Buffalo Bills. As rookie wide receiver Sammy Watkins says, he won't be Superman this year, but going to be close to it. Saying, quote, with our offense, we've got a lot of explosive guys, so for me, it's just about coming into the right way and trying to make plays. And then also saying, don't try to be Superman, but play my role and everything will work out. And then when he was asked about Buffalo fans, how Buffalo fans are with Watkins, he said, quote, it means a lot. I came from a big Division I school in Clemson, so we need our fans. That's what moved me, and it's great to hear the fans calling my name out and being active while we're still practicing. So that's good for the Bills. Now, there is some uncertainty with the Bills right now as they will look for a new owner. And one of the groups is a Toronto group led by Bon Jovi, who did say if he owns the Bills, if he gets, they win the bidding, he will not move the Bills out of Buffalo. They will stay in Western New York, and that'll be that. So there's been reports of where the Bills could go. Will they be the team to be in London, which is stupid. That should never happen. No team should go there. But that is a rumor. Whether the Bills go to L.A. Or somewhere else. All these crazy rumors. But the Bills, Bon Jovi, whatever he said he was going to stay with in Buffalo. So that could be good for Buffalo fans. And then the most awesomest news is this right here. A crowd of 22,000 turned out to Safeco Field for Richard Sherman's charity softball game after being played in a minor league baseball park in Tacoma last season. Sherman's event filled the entire lower bowl of the Seattle Mariners home stadium from one foul pole to the other. Sherman's event featured Seahawks teammates including quarterback Russell Wilson, defensive end Michael Bennett, wide receiver Doug Baldwin, and safety Earl Thomas. Also, guess who was there? Kobe Bryant. Yes, Kobe Bryant, Black Mamba, was there. Who said he hasn't swung a bat in 20 years. But Richard Sherman said, quote, I respect these guys tremendously, and it's humbling. It's not something you can put into words. You don't wake up one day and be like, I'm going to have Kobe Bryant, Nate Robinson, playing in my softball game, and McElroy. You just put McElroy at the end out of that. It's something that happened, and you're numb to the feeling until, like, years later, you realize that was a pretty incredible event. And then Kobe Bryant was talking about Richard Sherman, saying, he's a psycho like me. I think it's a mutual respect, and I have a great amount of respect for people who work at their craft. When him and I met, we just talked and hit it off. Bryant said it was the first time being back in Seattle since the departure of the Supersonics for Oklahoma City in 2008, after the 2008 season. After earlier saying the Eagles were his favorite NFL team, Kobe Bryant admitted he needed to make up for that statement. And then saying also, this was the best quote though, check this out. I've always enjoyed coming here. I'd much rather come here in the postseason than Oklahoma. That's what Kobe Bryant had to say. I like that. It was a shot at Oklahoma City Thunder. Now they can, obviously take a shot back and say, well, how would you know what postseason's like? You haven't been there in a long time. Ha ha ha. I get it. But the point is, that was awesome that Kobe Bryant said that. And God, how much I wish the Supersonics were back in Seattle. Like, who wants to go to see a Sacramento Kings game? Really? Let's just move into Seattle. Seattle's got everything going right now. They have soccer who's winning. Obviously with football. Their baseball team is doing pretty solid this year. Let's just add basketball. The fans deserve it. Oh, that would be so awesome. It'd be so awesome. But that is a awesome quote by Kobe Bryant. That's the quote of the week, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I will say it again. Quote, "I've always enjoyed coming here. I'd much rather come here in the postseason than Oklahoma." Kobe Bryant, 2014. Copyright. Speaking of basketball, LeBron James still hasn't confirmed for the team what number he will be wearing. James' website, LeBronJames.com, briefly showed him in a number 6 jersey, but that was soon replaced. And then LeBron James took to social media Friday to get the input of his fans, saying number 6 or 23 on Twitter. LeBron James is also considering wearing number 32, which he wore his freshman year of high school when 23 wasn't available. While LeBron James is taking his time, means that retailers have to wait on all the orders they received until they received last Saturday, when pre-orders for replica jerseys starting at $69.99. Since then, the Cavaliers have offered fans a replica youth jersey for $49, a swingman jersey for $99, and the authentic jersey for $300. Huge jump up, right? LeBron James wore 23 his sophomore year of high school through the 2009/10 season, his last with the Cavaliers. And then he changed to number 6, which he wore in the Olympics when he went to the Miami Heat, saying he thought all players should give up 23 so that Michael Jordan could be honored league-wide. Saying, quote, "I just think what Michael Jordan has done for the game has to be recognized in some way soon." This is what he said back in March of 2010. "If you see 23, you think about Michael Jordan. When you see guys flying through the air, you think about Michael Jordan. You see game-winning shots, you think about Michael Jordan. You see fly kicks, you think about Michael Jordan. He did so much, and it has to be recognized, and not just by putting him in the Hall of Fame." So he said all that back in March of 2010, yet he's still considering wearing 23, which he wore with the Cavaliers. So really, should the question be number 6 or 32? One, I think 32 is an ugly number. James should not wear it. I know that's what he wore in sophomore year of high school, not freshman year. No. Where did I just read that? No, he did wear 32 his freshman year. I'm sorry. 32 is just, it's ugly. It's just an ugly number. So it looks like 6 is the only one, because you really shouldn't wear 23. You got to back up what you said. And honestly, it's true. No one should wear 23 in the NBA. That should be, just like 42 was retired in baseball for Jackie Robinson, 23 should be retired in basketball for Michael Jordan. So it's really 6 or 32 for LeBron James. I guess just 6. Stick with 6 because, I mean, you've already worn it, and it's not that bad looking. 32 is just ugly to me. I'm sorry. It's just the ugly number. Other news for the Cavaliers, though, they sold out season tickets about 8 hours after James made his announcement last Friday. And the Cavaliers spokesman Tad Carper told ESPN.com that the season ticket waiting list had topped 2,000 names. Other news for Cavaliers, this will be the last thing for today's show, is the Cavaliers are planning to sign number 1 overall draft pick Andrew Wiggins to a contract in the coming week, according to sources close to the process. The Cavaliers' delay in signing the former Kansas star has nothing to do with the prospect of Wiggins being dealt to the Minnesota Timberwolves as a part of Cleveland's ongoing trade discussions for Kevin Love. But once Wiggins signs, through league rules stipulate that the Cavs must wait 30 days before trading him. 30 days. So basically, it seems like the Cavaliers are throwing out a little front, I guess you can say. Basically saying, Timberwolves, we're going to trade him. Or either we're going to keep him or we're trading him this week. They're trying to make this process finish up already. And sadly, I think it'd be really dumb if the Cavaliers trade Andrew Wiggins to the Timberwolves. I know what Kevin Love has done, averaging, 20 points and 12 rebounds. That's awesome. That's huge numbers. But Andrew Wiggins, I believe, can be something more special than Kevin Love. And I'm looking about future-wise, because you got to look. I mean, you got some old players. Cavaliers have some young players on the team. But I believe Andrew Wiggins can learn so much from LeBron James, and the potential that Andrew Wiggins already had before LeBron James was even on the team. I mean, this just increased it by 100 times more. And Andrew, you're looking towards the future. And I think Cavaliers would be very stupid to trade Wiggins away. It'd be really pick up for Minnesota if they get Wiggins, but it'd be bad. But one option under consideration for the Cavs, sources say, is using their leftover salary cap space to create long-term contracts for recent second-round picks Joe Harris and Dwight Powell. Signing Wiggins would preclude such moves. The Cavaliers also remain interested in free agent Ray Allen, who's being recruited by Cleveland by former teammates Mike Miller and LeBron James. But Cleveland will only be able to offer him $1.4 million minimum contract. Jeez, I can't finish up this show right. But with all that, Cavaliers I think would be dumb to keep to trade Andrew Wiggins for Kevin Love. Gotta look towards the future too. You're gonna win now. Why not win in the future as well, right? But hey, who knows? But that's it for today's show. I will see you guys next Monday morning. Be sure to, if you're listening on iHeartRadio, Spreaker.com, or actually can't listen on Spreaker right now because Spreaker's dumb right now. But if you're listening on iHeartRadio, actually, what am I saying right now? You're only listening on YouTube. This is the only place that it's at right now. So anyways, if you're listening here on YouTube, make sure you guys leave it a like and subscribe, comment, favorite, anything we've talked about. Let me know what you guys think. I always like hearing back from you guys and hearing what you guys think about stuff. And if there's other things you guys want me to talk about, let me know so I can think about talking about it next week. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, God first, God bless. I'm out. Peace.